Hello, 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 and welcome to the 13th episode, the unlucky episode, in this Swindon Town Football Manager series. And as you can see, David Bentley has not decided to join Swindon. Now, if we look at his wages, we can easily say that is a pittance. £45,000 per week is what we pay our ball boys, so I'm really surprised that he has decided to not join our club. On loan there, would have been a great replacement to Scott Wagstaff, just another loan signing that I've brought in. At the end of the day, it would have been a great step up from a little league club such as Tottenham to come and join the massive Swindon in League 2. Really surprised by that, but I'm going to move on to the real life news now. If you're watching this video and you've started it at 6 PM GMT, which is the sort of time I try to upload my videos, we will have kicked off against the Bayern Munich 11 about half an hour ago now. We're playing in Andalo, Italy as part of our pre-season tour. Now, Di Canio brought us there a season ago as well. I can't quite remember what the results were that time, but we played a local select 11 a few days ago this time round, and we beat them 9-1. To be honest, they're like the local team in the area or whatever, so you would expect to beat them, and if you did lose to them, that's a very bad sign for our beginning of the season. And also an interesting piece of news, if you didn't know this already, the season technically kicks off with the Capital Cup now instead of the first league game and then the Carling Cup like it was last season, which to me is quite odd. I would rather it kicked off with the first game of the season. I think it just reinforces the idea to the lower ranked club that the lower ranked clubs that, you know, we don't really care about you and you're not going to get far in our tournament. It's a Mickey Mouse Cup at the end of the day. I say this being the fan that went to the Johnson's Paint Trophy, which is supposedly the Uber Mickey Mouse Trophy, but at the end of the day, it's a good day out, whatever cup it is. I don't really care what they call it, even if it does sound absolutely horrible. Anyway, moving on. Bayern Munich 11 are basically the reserves team, I think, for Bayern Munich. They play a few levels below Bayern Munich in the Bavarian local league, something like that. I'll leave a link to the article that I found this on. It's in the Swindon Advertiser, our local rag. Interesting read if you want to read that. They've got a player called Schweinsteiger, however, it's the brother of Bastian Schweinsteiger. His name is Tobias. And yeah, so we will be facing him this evening. Also a shout out that I wanted to do in the last episode, but I thought I was overdoing it with by having two shout outs instead of just one. This is to Paper Roses SMZ. He's doing a Liverpool Let's Play at the moment, and he's just brought out episode 11, I believe. He's signed a famous Brazilian from a famous Spanish club. I won't tell you who it is. You've got to go and work that out for yourself, or go and click on the link in the description, which will be a link to the video. So I would recommend seeing that. A very interesting series, I'm sure. So yeah, we're going to go into the game now, and we will click on here. Now, although we did win 3-1, as you can see, Kyle Reid did grab an own goal for us. I would say that the scoreline really doesn't reflect the match. Perhaps in the first half, definitely we were the dominant team. Possession-wise, it's quite disappointing. Bradford coming into this game had been on an awful list of losses that they had in the previous few games. As I pointed out in the last video, I think they lost 6-1 to Oxford just a few games ago. They really are in poor form, so I was surprised that we didn't dominate them possession-wise. If we look into their squad though, however, you can see that there is a lot of determination within the squad. If we look at Ravenhill, for example, you can see 16 determination there. To me, as I've said before, I don't know exactly what stats mean, but I would say determination is a player's willingness to continue if they're losing, and I would definitely say that that is what Bradford did. They went 2 goals down and they just didn't stop. They kept going, and they could have easily pulled the game back. In one situation in the game, they hit the post twice in a matter of about 5 or 6 seconds. That was where we were really hanging on, because they just scored their first goal of the game. I think it was 2-1. Yeah, I think it was 2-1 before De Vita got his second. I really can't remember now. And they really looked like they were going to make a massive comeback, as the home team sometimes does. Surprisingly, they've got terrible morale. I seriously think that their team can turn it around. They don't look like a relegation team to me. I think they look like an incredibly strong team, if I'm being honest. Now, Simon Rusden is on a very low condition there. I hadn't seen that before. Anyway, I'm going to talk about how I set up my team for this match. As you can see there, Obadiah, an ex-Swindon player, from Bolton on loan, I believe. Yes, age 21. His technical attributes and his mental attributes are abysmal, as you can see. However, his physical attributes are fairly strong for League Two. As you can see, a pace of 15 and an acceleration of 16. That is one fast player, and you do not want to face him if you're a slow defender. That is why I took a risk. I bit the bullet, I bited the bullet, I boat the bullet, and I took off. Who did I take off? I took off Balotelli. Now, another reason for me to take off Balotelli, not only is he a fairly slow player, I mean he's got 11 pace, but he was having a terrible performance. He was coming out of the first half. His rating was 6.1, so I decided to take him off for Paul Downing, who instead managed to scrape up a 6.0 performance, which is even worse. He made one tackle during the entire second half. He won the ball once, and he made a bad tackle also during the match where he didn't win the ball. I don't think he got booked for it, but at the end of the day, if we look there and highlight him there, his performance was bad in comparison to the rest of his games. Not too many tackles won in the other games actually, but a few more passes and more passes completed against Cheltenham, obviously 17 passes out of 16. I honestly think as a centre-back your passing shouldn't be this long ball kind of crap. It should be to the next man, to perhaps to Caddis or to whoever we're playing on the left on that day. You shouldn't be looking to play long balls, and I think that might have been what Paul Downing was doing. Maybe he was put under pressure by Obadiah. If we look at his composure, perhaps that says a bit. Yeah, 7 there, so that could have been the case. He could have been under a bit of pressure. Obviously, players with determination in the Bradford squad could have done that to him as well. For our good news, however, I had to take Richie off for this game. I thought that we would easily win this, and I was wrong in the second half, obviously, even though we were 2-0 up. I put on SES instead, and he had a very solid performance. He managed to get 1 assist in the match, and he grabbed himself a 7.2 rating, which is very promising for a player that's not been played at all this season. I'm just going to have a drink because I am dying right now. Alright, here we go again. So yeah, no, that's very good to see that SES had a good performance, and I can bring Richie back into the squad knowing that he's got an adequate replacement should he go out injured for any period of time. I wouldn't be too happy if I was to lose him for too long, but I think SES can do the job. He has similar stats, likes to shoot with power, very good long shot, etc, etc. Other bits of news. So yeah, my player of the match has to be Rafael De Vita. Obviously scored twice in the match, and I want to show you both of his goals. They were very, very similar and from very similar parts of the pitch. He does the same job, and this is basically what I would imagine Miles Story, for example, doing there. As you can see, just running away from the defence, not doing anything fancy, and finishing. You know, sometimes you just get into games where they just can't finish, and that is what he's done in this match. He has just been consistent throughout the game. I'll show you his second goal. I don't know why it didn't take me back there. If we look at this, again, really brilliant anticipation, a great through ball to him. And again, he finishes it as well. You know, sometimes they'll run through and they'll just hit it horribly wide. But again, he's Mr. Consistent at the moment, and I'm really enjoying having him in my team. I will give you one extra bit of information that may change that, though. I have brought in a new signing. Now, this is kind of predictable. Everybody brings this guy in, apparently, as a striker if they're a League Two team. Pablo Calnego. I actually can't say his name. However, if we look at his stats, pace obviously isn't brilliant, acceleration isn't brilliant, not the fastest player in the world, but if we look at aggression and anticipation, 13 there, as well as concentration and composure, you can see that mentally he's definitely there in the match. 14 flair probably goes well with his 12 decisions, it's not overboard. And his finishing is 10, his technique is 14, so again those are decent stats for a striker. As long as you've got a high amount in one of those, then I'm happy with that. Positioning 8, now that is fairly disappointing, and I may have to work in that in training. As an older player, I don't really think they learn too much. There has been other things that I've been doing in training as well. I've been looking at players' preferred moves. Now I think it's going to be fairly hard for me to look at that today in this video. Say, for example, though, if we look at a player that I was looking at, just see one that I wanted to change. Okay, we're just going to look at Paul Benson for an example of one. If we go into the reports or transfer and contracts, stats. I had this somewhere. I will find this, trust me. That's the thing about this game. There's so many menus and bars and stuff. You kind of, well, there we go. So as you can see there, he enjoys being in the poacher position. If we look at his reports, or the target man, sorry, the target man, that's the one that I was thinking about. And if you look at his preferred moves, a very good one for a target man is to play with your back to the goal. Essentially, you're going to be standing facing away from the opponent's goalkeeper so that you can take the ball down and get other players involved in the match. This is incredibly useful for a target man, and that is why I'm sticking with him at the moment. I didn't realise that he had this preferred move before, and I suppose it's what makes him stronger as a striker. He definitely links other people up, and he does that in real life too, so it's very useful. Runs with the ball rarely. If we look at his statistics there, his dribbling is appalling. So yeah, we can understand why he does that. I think he's a fairly intelligent footballer, so I think he knows why he does different things like that. Okay, so if we go into thanking a certain Mr. DeVita, I'm going to do that right now. I don't know what their response is, because sometimes they say to you, well, I had an average game, I don't know why you're praising that. If I was a player and I was told that I had a great game previously by my manager, I would be over the moon. I don't know why they tell me, you know, at the end of the day it wasn't that great a performance. I'm not going to do recent form, because even though he's on a 7.2, supposedly players don't think that's good form. So I'll just tell him that he's played well in the last game, because he's done exactly what I wanted him to do. There you go. I don't think I can improve his morale too much more, but he's happy with that, so I want him to be happy. Ballatoni, I think I might warn him, because he did play appallingly in the previous match, and he might tell me that he didn't get enough time or whatever. This will be interesting. Last game, okay. Your passing in the last game was not good enough. Remember that he took a lot of passes and he missed a lot of them. Let's see what he has to say. I agree, I am as disappointed with my performance as you are. There we go. And we've improved his morale. So even if you discipline them and they agree with you, they're going to increase their morale. That really helps the squad out, and hopefully that's going to help his performances out. A little bit of extra information. I'm just going to go through the inbox that we've got here. Jonathan Smith, as you can see, we brought him in to give some other players in the centre of the park a bit of a rest, and as you can see, we have him injured again for another 4 to 5 weeks, so a similar length injury as before. He's out again. I don't know if he enjoys just being injured all the time. David Crawley, we had him on as the replacement to Flavio, what's his name? Oh no, I'm thinking of another player. I see, Heitinga Lunga, or whatever his name is. That is how much of a role he plays in my team. He, as you can see, his average rating is very strong compared to Heitinga. So that's probably quite a loss for our team, I have to say. Superior finishing provides cutting edge for Swindon. That is essentially the game in a sentence. I don't think we were too much better than Bradford. DeVita inspires Swindon win. Yes, yes, and again a very strong performance from him, and I'm very happy that he's provided that for us. I'm just going to do the press conference. A quite incredible victory for your team to get today. Just how pleased were you by the result? I don't think we were great. A win's a win, but it would be nice to have played better. Was there any worries to you when they pulled it back to 2-1? The scoreline is a dangerous one. The team gets edgy, as did the fans, so of course there were worries. DeVita had a great game out today. What did you make of it? He had a good solid game, and I expect to see more of the same. I won't say he's simply faultless, because that just makes them overconfident. Paul Benson had a fine start to his season career, turning in consistently impressive performances in his first few matches for the club. This presumably makes you delighted the new signing has bedded in so well. I'm pleased that he has hit the ground running, and I think the fans are too. How significant a blow will the loss of Smith be to your ambitions of the side? Now, to be perfectly honest, I don't see him as being a first team player. I'm not particularly bothered by that.